You see, Kent, this is why I drive to California. I can't count on anybody else to get me anywhere besides myself.
You know, you're a good person to trust. I put my trust in other people, and that was a rental car business and an airline. And you think if you pay a ticket, which costs a lot of money, you'd be fine. But then you get texts like this: "We're sorry to inform you that Allegiant 3231 has been canceled. Visit this website for options or call this number." Now,
Wait. You said that you paid a lot of money. You just said that you paid airfare for Allegiant.
Okay.
And,
Listen.
wait, back
Listen.
this up. Did you pay for it or did somebody else pay for it?
Well, okay, I'm going to blame my ex. So I traveled.
Easy target.
Yeah, easy target, right? I traveled with my ex and my kids. It's a trip we do every 4 years. I can get more into that if people would like, but we kind of split up costs. And I bought the Disney tickets and the rental car, and she did like hotel and the flight. And I was like, hey, try to save some money because, well, I'm me. And she went out, and I think she had like Delta or Southwest first. It was a lot of money, right? But they get you where you need to go. I think that should, well, not Southwest, just Delta. Is that just Delta now? Is Delta the only one we can trust? By the way, not a sponsor.
Alaskan.
So it's Delta,
Yeah.
Alaskan, and Spencer Driving. Those are the only ones we can trust.
I'll get you where you need to go.
When we flew out there, we bought it. It was like a 10 a.m. flight. Great. Sounds good. It was the girl's first flight. And I was like, ooh, we should have paid more money because we might die. My daughters have never been on a plane, and we're choosing Allegiant. I mean, it's not Spirit or Breeze.
Was the muffler like shaky or something?
No, here's how I describe Allegiant. It's like someone tried to 3D print a Delta plane from memory.
No. Kent.
Go ahead. Yeah. Whatever.
Allegiant is Spirit Airlines by Mormons.
Go
my
on.
gosh.
Explain your
I
reasoning.
can see this.
It's cheap flights that you would buy in bulk. They only fly if
Okay.
the flight's full. Tell me that's not more cost saving than Mormon. And then last but not least,
And they're late.
they're always late. And last but not least, there's no alcohol on the flights.
Yeah, they say, by the way, there was an alcoholic on my flight today, and there was almost some residue. I'll say that. He spent half the time in the bathroom. But they moved our flight to like a 7 a.m. flight when we took off, which was pretty annoying because they go out of Provo. They really are Spirit Airlines for Mormons.
Yeah, Mormon Spirit Airlines.
Oh, my word. And then the text that I just read, we got that 5 hours before we were supposed to leave. So, we're about to bring the car back. We're going to leave the hotel, all this
I'm
stuff.
surprised you didn't get that text from your bishop.
No. He's like, after our recent interview, we regret to inform you that your flight's been canceled. Stay in California. So, but yeah, they cancel the flight, and they don't really give you a lot of instructions like, hey, here's a voucher for what we can do for you. They basically say if you don't do anything in 72 hours, you'll be refunded, which isn't good enough, as we know, because it's frustrating to travel. Thankfully, we did get a flight out 12 hours later, so it was like 7 in the morning again from LAX instead of John Wayne Airport, which, no thank you. I'd rather fly out of a small airport than LAX.
LAX is horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But we made it back. Like, I'm back, which is good. And I had a great trip outside of Allegiant, which apparently, Spencer, you say they only really keep a flight going if it's full.
If it's not full, they cancel the flight.
It really surprised me back a few years ago when the Raiders were building their stadium in Vegas.
Yeah.
The title sponsor is Allegiant.
What? They have that much money?
Well, probably because they charge you for like every checked bag and everything,
Every single drink.
Every single drink? Like,
yeah,
they don't even give you a free drink?
No snacks or drinks. Their trays are so small. No joke. It's the size of my hand. They don't want you to drink or eat on their flight.
The reason that they have the stadium is because the NFL will not let a gambling organization or a casino organization hold the naming rights for a stadium.
Which makes sense. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In their own way.
But Allegiant
is the only legitimate business in Vegas.
Couldn't they have just gotten they could have done a Ford dealership.
In and out?
Allegiant?
I mean, the Delta Center was what for how many years?
Who knows a lot of things? The Viv.
Yeah, the Viv.
So, look, I made it back. That's great. But truly, Spencer, I thought when they canceled the flight yesterday. I've got a rental car. If they don't mind me driving this to Salt Lake, I'll drive the 11 hours. I don't care.
Or just call Spencer. He'll pick you up.
Pick you up.
Hey, could you drive here and then back?
Seriously, I'm pretty sure that he would.
I would have.
Oh,
I would've.
you're sweet.
I would have taken my Corolla, not the truck.
Yeah, well, no, hey, Corollas are reliable. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think we got a Corolla for a rental car.
They'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Delta and Corolla gets you where you need to go. And I don't mean to be negative, because truly the trip was great. It's like, but I will always find like the little negative angle, of course.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I will gladly deal with the Southwest cattle trough
Oh, sure, right.
rather than be charged like $5 for a drink.
Yeah, and granted, Allegiant, like you said, is cheap, and so we should have known, and now we do.
Yep. Lesson learned. Maybe.
They even said, "Hey, do you want credit toward another Allegiant flight?" No. Okay, maybe.
But I'm never using you again.
If I don't mind staying in California another 3 days, basically, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Like that will be the trip I take. So, anyways, but Josh, like you were saying, their trip was great. It was kind of this. I haven't been to California since like August of 2019. Like I met my kids and my ex in March of 2019, and we
Mhm.
do this every couple of years, like every 4 years to be specific, where we took them like right before we got separated. It was like one big to do. The kids were tiny.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey, let's have this big vacation. 4 years later, I met them at the park, and it was awesome. Except for they were still quite young and just didn't really dare to go on any rides. And now they're 13 and 9, and look, they're old enough, they're brave enough, and I was stoked that they were willing to go on the rides. And they never got on a plane too, which, like I said, Allegiant.
So what ride was scarier, Tower of Terror or Allegiant? There's less drops in Tower of Terror.
Yeah. No, hey, look, to Allegiant's credit, the ride was smooth, I think.
Not as smooth as Smuggler's Run.
Yeah. So, but we did 2 days at the park, and like I said, it was my first time in nearly 4 years that I'd gone, and so I got to go on rides like Rise of Resistance.
You had not done that yet, correct?
I had not done that. It was not open yet. My first time, and also the Mickey's Runaway Railway.
I've not been on that.
And so there's a lot of cool new things. And granted, I took my kids, so we had to get, all sorts of food and, stuff I could get into a ton. But I'll just say that the trip was great. We did Genie Plus and Park Hopper, just because it was a little bit cheaper. Maybe we can talk about that later too. But yeah, I loved it.
2 things.
Yes.
What was the standout ride with your girls? And what was the standout thing you ate?
Okay. The ride that wasn't the standout is we had a Genie Plus for Incredicoaster, and my 9-year-old has never been on a roller coaster before.
Never.
But we're like, hey, we need to get there at 10:35, so it's one of our first roller coasters. Let's do this. And she was screaming like she was being murdered on this roller coaster.
In line or on the ride?
No, in line. When you look at Incredicoaster, you go, oh, that doesn't go too fast.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're on it, you're like, what? You lied to me. Am I going to die? And that's exactly what she thought. She was like basically in shock after the ride, to the point where we felt really guilty, because we had our day booked of like, we're going to do Guardians after, we're going to do Space Mountain, all this stuff. And she didn't trust us, even on Snow White's Enchanted Wish after that. And I don't even blame her.
Smart girl.
Yeah.
Smart girl.
And so I had to go on Ariel twice. But for my youngest, Mickey's Runaway Railway was the highlight. And you can kind of tell that kids love that, because the line is usually an hour and a half. We got in later at night for about 30,
It's also the newest.
35 minutes. It is. And it's similar to Rise of Resistance, where it's like magnetic carts and flooring, and it kind of throws you aside, and it's really it's like a show, and it's a unique way to ride a ride
Yeah,
as well.
it's immersive.
Immersive, yes. And so that was a highlight for me. Rise of Resistance was for the first time, and unfortunately, I only got to go on it once. Incredible.
It probably broke down like the other time you tried.
It did 7 times.
If it makes you feel better, Kent.
Yes.
When I went in October with Hazel for her first trip, and with Stephanie for the first time with Stephanie,
Mhm.
we only got to get on it once, and we only were able to get on it once in those 3 days. because my sister has friends who are blind. So
Are you? Wait, hold on. You're saying you got on the ride because they were blind.
no Genie Plus.
Spencer's unethical Disney hacks over here.
No, listen. We all talk about the wheelchair rule. Spencer took it to another level, a really offensive level. It's fine.
No. So here's the thing: is you two make fun of yourselves for being the cheapskates, but I'm pretty sure you spent more money more freely on food than I did.
Totally, absolutely.
You went with the Genie Plus. I'm the dad that says she's 3, or she wasn't even 3. She was a year and a half at the time. Like,
yeah,
she's not gonna remember any of this.
No,
we don't need to go on all the rides.
And you don't. I mean, it sucks for you because you don't get to go on Space Mountain.
Nope.
But
I had blind friends.
Gosh.
Hey, don't judge me. Rick used them too.
Do you bring your friends, or do you just have a card that says I have blind friends?
No. So
Josh and I aren't sure.
My sister's friends legitimately were there doing their own Disney trip, and they just added us to their disability pass. So occasionally we'd get a text message that's like, hey, you guys want to go on this ride? We have a fast pass to this ride.
Yeah.
So blind friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of used to do that with my dad in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
but
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not talking hacks yet. But,
No.
But Spencer, you asked about food really quickly because I don't love Disney food. I think it's way overpriced, and I don't even think overrated because no one really goes, oh my gosh, I had the greatest thing.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later in the show.
But for the first time, I did finally have the raspberry. Now, forgive me for pronouncing this wrong, but the macaron?
Macaron.
Is it macaroon or Ron?
Macaron. No, Macron is the French president. Macaroon is...
Wait, so is it macaron? Is it macaron?
No, that's...
Yeah, it's macaron.
No,
because when I ordered, I was like, it's kind of like when you have a friend named Kirk, but you're not sure if his name is Kurt. And so you're like, hey, Kurt.
I thought it was just my Utah accent.
So I say, hey, could I have 2 raspberry macarons? And they're like, yeah, 2. And I'm like, yeah. I had one for the first time, and I'm not a big macaron fan, but it was so sugary and so delightful.
Right?
Yeah, and it was big enough, too.
Yeah, it is my favorite thing at Disneyland.
If we ever do like an other show trip to Disneyland and we tell listeners like, hey, we're going
already planning it for sure.
Yeah, if we go this day, this time, find us in the park. Anyway, if we ever go, you can be the designated sugar guy because I can't do sugary treats. Like, I just can't. I've never enjoyed them.
That's sad.
What?
No, like
what do you mean?
Funnel cake makes me sick. Josh got me a beaver tail once, and it's probably from Lagoon, and that killed me.
No, it was from Lagoon,
and it was like a day old.
I was on my way up to Hooper. I stopped at Lagoon to get him a beaver tail because I'm like, he needs one.
I did not need one.
What happens to you? Is it just crummy tummy?
Anything super sugary, I get a really crummy tummy. So
I brought Tums with me this time, and it totally helped.
That's a great hack.
My number one treat in Disneyland is the pickle because it's like inflation, $2 now, but like it's perfect. Hits the spot, gives you electrolytes. It's cheap and filling.
Are you 80?
No.
Are you 80 years old, Spencer?
No, and
a pickle from Disneyland?
I'll prove I'm not.
I didn't even see pickles.
Why do people?
Is this from one of the guys out front?
No.
On Harper Boulevard. That's like, we got your large pickles.
No,
come get your large pickles.
It's probably warm too because it's been in his pocket.
You get them from the stands, like the drink stands. They're in a bucket with ice, and they're giant.
That's a lie.
No,
okay.
I have pictures.
That pickle, no, I'm sad. I'm sorry to tell you, Spencer, is more than just $2. It's $4 now.
Well, you kind of get like these Disney blinders where everything's twice the price that you see it for.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But I will admit, so pickle's like number 1. And then like number 3, I'm gonna do 1, 3, 2. Number 1.
When are we tiering this?
Yeah.
Are we a tiering show now?
Number 2 was the Ronto wrap, and I've been trying to recreate that at home, and I'm close. I'm close.
Here, I'll tell you how. You get a pita bread, you get a tiny Slim Jim, and throw some wet cabbage in there. Ronto wrap.
Oh no,
that thing's $19 for a Slim Jim and a pita.
It's like $10. 11.
No,
11.
it's more. Okay, Josh, you're gonna have to be our fact checker
Yeah,
here.
fact check me here.
But
It's I believe it is $11.
I know because I'm cheap.
you win.
But no, it's like $19 because you have to wash it down with blue milk.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's a must.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Water.
Yes, you do.
But no, the Ronto wrap is not just cabbage. You've got peppercorn sauce, mayo, lime juice, sumac, coriander, Szechuan peppercorns. Come on. Anyway,
All stuff that comes in a cabbage packet.
It's still a Slim Jim in a pita
In a
pocket.
pita.
it is divine. I feel like I'm in
It is
space.
far from divine. You know, my girls, when they walked into Batu, were like, wow, this is like old. And I go, hey, that's actually the point. And I started to geek out. I'm like, they make everything look really, really, really grimy. And they're like, I don't want to drink from this drinking fountain. I'm like, I totally understand, nor do I. So everything there has a feel, and I love it. But the Ronto wrap kind of belongs there.
Okay, if you feel that way about my number 3, I don't know if I want to tell you my number 2.
Go on.
Yeah, just tell us.
Pixar Pier, right across from the Midway Mania. Get yourself an Angry Dog.
Are we talking like your feet in like poorly fitted shoes? Like,
Nope.
what do you mean?
They're spicy hot dogs. They're delicious. They're $8.
Okay,
No.
hold on.
That's
Back
a-
it up.
That's the
Back
last
it up.
thing I want to be eating at Disneyland.
No.
Because
Spencer,
that's a half a bottle of Tums I'll be eating in like 5
No.
minutes.
Spencer, you can't handle sweet food, and you're talking about getting a hot dog? What?
Well, it's Disneyland spicy, so it's like black pepper.
Yeah, I'm with Josh on this
It's
one.
delicious.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is cheap for Disneyland. I had like 4.
Let's get this show started.
Yeah,
because
well, I'm really sorry about
I'm a little
tangents.
excited.
Yeah, me too.
No, we could have tangented the whole episode about Disneyland. But this is kind of a special Disneyland episode. And quite honestly, we're going to have to kind of break this up into 2 parts. We wanted to get the audience involved. We had some questions in that were posted on our social media asking certain questions about Disneyland. And holy crap, we got tons of phone calls. And we kind of decided to kind of break it in half because we had 3 questions. We wanted to know what your magic moment was. We wanted to know your Disney hacks, and then the best thing that you ever ate in Disneyland. And quite honestly, pretty much everybody answered every question, but the Disney food got the least amount of love,
Okay.
which was kind of surprising, I think, because I love talking about food, and I think a lot of people love to talk about food because it's a very opinionated topic. But kind of going back to what you were talking about, what you're talking about, you're not in love with the food as
No.
much.
Right.
I'm kind of the same way. Like outside of the macaron,
Yes.
you know, there are very few things that I like because they're special to the park.
Right.
So we kind of decided, I think, you know, maybe we needed to tackle Disneyland foods in a different way instead of just having you call in. Maybe we'll do some polls. Maybe we'll ask some. Maybe we can get some Disney podcasters to kind of be a guest on the show or something, because there is stuff to talk about with Disneyland food. But hacks and magic moments were by far the most talked about topics. And so
Yeah.
I think what we'll do for this episode is we will talk about magic moments, because I'm sure you had a number of magic moments there with your girls, and you have in the past, and we've had a bunch of magic moments, Spencer and myself, not necessarily together. I don't
Yet.
yet.
Admittedly, I've only been to Disneyland like 5 times, 3 that I can remember.
I can't remember how many times I've been to Disneyland.
Last year.
I mean, well, I went to Disneyland 8 times last year. But,
Wow.
But then the next week we'll do a hacks, kind of a Disneyland hacks episode. It should be a lot of fun. I kind of want to jump into these because there are some pretty cool magic moments. So we'll play a couple at a time,
Yeah, let's hear them.
and then we'll kind of we'll interject with some of our stories as well. But
Because of course we will. Yeah.
this is fun. There's some pretty good ones. So let's start with this one from Johnny.
Hey guys, this is Jonathan Vascar, also better known on one of your other shows as Johnny English and The Brick. And I wanted to just tell you about my Disneyland experience. I actually got to Disneyland for the first time when I was in my 30s, had never been before. Since then I've been back many times, but the most magical experience for me was walking underneath that gate the first time. Seeing Disney, my wife at the time was my girlfriend, and she told me you're going to hear things and smell things, and it's just amazing. Nothing prepares you for that first time you walk in. I went to Halloween time, and the smells of fresh baked cookies as we walked through hit me, and I could hear, one of the songs. I can't remember what song it was playing, but one of the classic songs was playing in the background. And as we came around the bend, I looked up, and there was a silhouette of Goofy having a shower in a window, and I thought, where am I? They're just putting all of these things. There's so many special things everywhere you look, from the people doing shows as you walk by, to the characters everywhere, the rides. Everything immerses you, and you don't even realize that you're in Disneyland. I mean, it's just like this weird feeling that comes over you that's magical. It's hard to describe. And it doesn't go away. I've been back multiple times since then, and every single time it's just that special, you disappear into this other world, and they do a really good job of just immersing you in this special place. So that's my favorite.
Hey, this is Austin. One of the experiences I think about when I go to Disneyland is, first thing I like to do is go sit at the bench and get a corn dog and a lemonade and do what Walt did every day and look at all the people celebrating a victory. I'm just kidding. That's a load of crap. I've heard that way too much. I actually really loved going between the two parks down Main Street. Two spots that hit me. First, Ralph Brennan's Kitchen, when I got to smell the beignets and then listening to the Cajun music. That was the first time I took my family to Disneyland. And when I heard the music and got the smell and it was nighttime, it was one of the most amazing feelings. And it truly did feel like there was an accomplishment that had been had, and that was me taking my whole family to Disneyland for their first time. Everybody but me, it was our first time. So the smell, the sound, and the area at nighttime. And then the second was just as you're going past Nolan Square and you start to hit Critter Country, sort of in that area, as you're making that your way around that corner, that section of the park, when you can just hear Splash Mountain's crazy music, but also you're right by Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're kind of by the Haunted Mansion and Pirates and all those things. In that short little walk, I realized that was the one spot I kept gravitating. Every time I've been to the park, I keep kind of staying in those neighborhoods. And it's something about the sounds and the smells and everything in that little corridor that just kind of kept me there. I know that there's some people, like Josh mentioned, he likes the Small World, or some might like things in California Adventure, but for me it was always that little walk on that end of the park. I just had always liked that one. And that's it.
That was Austin and Johnny English before. First off, my first thought before we kind of dive into what was talked about, Jonathan, I don't know if you could have described Goofy in the shower more disturbingly.
I loved it.
I know. I'm like, hey.
But it's the little details, like you described.
It is.
You look up and you're like, oh, I just barely noticed this, even though maybe that was just kind of for the 12 people that look up here.
I love these because, both of these, because they talk about the sights and the sounds and the smells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so detailed from Main Street to, even Splash Mountain, when you go like right before that first little drop, when you get I can't think of Big Al, the bear, and him snoring. It's those little tiny details that they don't skimp out on. So,
and I love that it was just walking around experiences, just taking in the sights. Like, I don't love Disney as a company. I think they're a pretty soulless organization. But man, it's so cool to be there and walk around and be like, yep, this is a part of my childhood, or this will be part of my children's childhood.
Uh-huh.
Because being there, even if there are thousands of people around you, you're like, this is pretty cool. This stretch from Pirates to Splash Mountain over here. I just like the vibe here.
And there's always something new to discover. I mean, in my 5 whole times of going, and 3 that I can remember.
So yeah,
Specifically,
we got off Pirates this last time we went, and we were in that back alley by the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I legit don't remember ever being in that back alley and where it went. And I looked at my little brother.
Somebody tried to sell him a pickle.
This is new. And he's like, no, this is normal.
That's where you get them. But you're right. Like, yeah, you think it feels new, even though you've always done that.
Yeah. It just everything there feels new. And I agree with Austin. That is my favorite part of the park, is over by closer to Splash Mountain and Critter Country. This is going to sound really weird, but it kind of reminds me of Scout Camp.
Yeah, that is weird.
Go on.
Just because that's one of the few areas in the park where there's a lot more trees and it just feels more country.
Yeah.
And you've got the Mark Twain and the rivers going, which is kind of like being by the lake at Scout Camp. And then you got the zippity-doo-dah. You can hear that playing over. Well, you used to be able to hear that playing over the speakers. And that is probably one of the quieter parts of the park where you can actually kind of hear the people that are around you, each of them having their own kind of cool experience.
Yeah, because I think my favorite, I mean, there's so many sights and smells and everything. But honestly, any Disneyland at night, I want to say probably about an hour or so right before it closes, or just right after fireworks, when the families have already kind of moved on and out to the parking lots.
Yep.
There's just something when the park feels a little bit emptier with the lighting and
you feel like you shouldn't be there. When I'm on that boardwalk there, right in front of Mark Twain's boat, and there are no more families there, no one's there, you can walk right on a Haunted Mansion, which I'm about to for my second time in an hour. I start skipping, even though it's 11:30 at night, because I'm so excited to be there.
Yeah,
and it feels like my own park,
and it is.
You know.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's do this one from Brandon.
Hey guys, Brandon here. Before I share my most magical moment at Disney, I just want to take a second and say how great it is to hear you guys back together again. You sound happier than ever, and of course we appreciate you guys bringing us along for the ride each week. It's been awesome. Hey, I think everyone pretty well knows my most magical day at Disneyland. It happened last summer when my family and Disney were able to bring my 83-year-old father back to the happiest place on earth after being one of the first people to walk into the park on opening day several years ago. But Disney put together a once-in-a-lifetime itinerary. But there was one moment that stood out that I wanted to share with you that I'll never forget. Now, I don't know if any of you have taken the time out of your Disney day to attend the flag ceremony, but in my opinion, this is a must-see. I know. I was a Boy Scout. I was involved in hundreds of flag ceremonies and know how boring it can be, but this one, it's different. Now, not only do they honor our country and retire the flag, but they also take time to honor those who served under it. And my father, being an Army veteran, was asked to come forward and take his place with some of the other heroes that happened to be there who served our country. Now, I watched in tears while a frail old mountain of a man stood from his wheelchair in full attention as they lowered those stars and stripes. And at one point during the ceremony, I could see how tired he was standing there. So Disney asked my brother and I to go and stand by his side to steady him and make sure that he was okay. Well, we did that. We went up to him, and I reached out to grab a hold of his arm to help steady him, and he pulled it away. And, you know, it wasn't in a bad way, but he let us know that he had the strength and was going to stand there in his own strength and complete the ceremony. Again, even thinking about it today brings back those tender memories, and I appreciate him and all those veterans that have served. Again, I know taking time out of your fun and excitement at Disneyland seems kind of weird, but if you haven't done it, go and do it. I don't think I'll ever go to Disneyland again without taking time around 4:30ish in the afternoon in the main square to attend that sacred ceremony. Well, anyway, keep up the good work, you guys. We love you. We appreciate all that you're doing to help make our week better. Hey, we would look forward to our first meetup with you guys, too.
Hey, it's Dennis again. Sorry, I got cut off there before I could tell my food story. So, continuing. Best thing I've ever eaten at Disneyland. To recap, some friends and I, Napa Rose at the Grand Californian. We're sitting at the chef's table. The chef came over and said, "What do you want?" And we were talking about things, and she said, "I have an idea." She said, "Do you like bread pudding?" I said, "I love bread pudding when it's done right." I said, "Usually it turns out it's like soggy." And she goes, "I have an idea, but I'd like it to be a surprise." She said, "Do you trust me?" And I said, "Go ahead." And so right there in front of me, she made me a butterscotch bread pudding with homemade brown sugar, cinnamon praline ice cream that she made right there with liquid nitrogen. It's like watching a wizard work. And then drizzled with like fresh warm cream. And I'm not kidding you. It was like kissing an angel full on the lips. It was amazing. I almost cried. And I said to her, I said, "Madam, if this was Salem 300 years ago, they'd have burned you at the stake for being a witch. That's how good this is." And she laughed and said that was the best compliment she'd ever gotten. So that's still the best thing I've ever eaten at Disneyland, possibly in my life. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Love you guys. Love the show. Keep it up. Talk to you later. Bye.
I mean, how do we beat those calls right there?
Brandon was the first one, and then Dennis.
You know, Brandon's like, "Sorry to take time out." I'm like, let's bring some heart into the show.
Oh my
Like, it's absolutely needed
gosh.
sometimes. Like, that sounds like an amazing moment. I didn't even know they do a flag ceremony. That's kind of how naive I am about it.
So a couple years ago, I actually specifically went on November 11th, Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do the flag ceremony every day at Disneyland, but on holidays and that, especially national holidays, they do a little more pizzazz to it.
Sure.
And they have more armed forces that come and veterans and everything. And it is like they bring out the marching band and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It honestly, when I went a couple years ago, was one of the coolest things I've experienced, because you just like Brandon described with his dad, you see so many of these veterans,
heroes,
that are there, that will like take every ounce of energy they can to salute the flag. And I just get the chills even talking about that right now, because I just remembered how awesome of an experience it was for me just to be to observe, but for Brandon to be there with his dad.
Yeah.
That's pretty dang cool.
That's magic, man. Wow.
Yeah, truly.
I mean, I'm not even going to make any snide comments about that.
You silenced Spencer, and that is a win.
Thank you. So we've been trying now for like 3 months.
Spencer, do you want to make a comment about kissing an angel on the lips? Because I sure will. I love the description of that. That was so like novel-esque. To be like, if this was 300 years ago, they would burn you at the stake for what you've done because it's witchcraft. I love that. And that sounds delicious.
I mean, Dennis needs to start writing scripts for Disneyland, because that fit right in.
Yeah, they need better writers.
That's Disney-esque.
Dennis actually has two entries in this, and this was actually when we asked about food. This was his answer, but I'm like, no, that's magic. That's magic.
Yeah.
That needs to be shared as magic. So
that's a magic moment.
No, now I'm hungry.
Right.
Like bread pudding. I absolutely love bread pudding.
With or without raisins?
I like raisins.
Stop it.
No, I do.
You too British? Make fun of my pickle?
Yeah, we're going to make fun of your pickle, okay?
Hey,
your back alley pickle.
That's personal.
Yeah.
we are still talking about food. Do not put an explicit on this episode.
Yeah, we got to be careful about that. But no, that would have been an amazing experience.
Great memories.
Had. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some more here. This next one is from Tanya Budge.
What is your most magical moment in Disneyland? And I am actually going to say my honeymoon. Jason and I got married almost exactly 30 years ago, and that was our honeymoon. And that was actually even the first time I ever actually had to refer to him as my husband. So it was kind of a fun moment waiting for Fantasmic. Someone tried to take his seat, and I said, no, that's reserved for my husband. And that was really cool. So it's also the year Fantasmic opened, so we got to see it before most people did. But anyway, those are my tips and tricks for Disneyland. If you do another one for Disney World, you're going to have to leave more room on this voicemail so that I can leave you lengthy answers to the questions. Anyway, keep it up, guys. Thank you again for this show. You guys are amazing. Love you all.
Hey, guys, gents, whatever you prefer to be called. This is Tina. I am leaving a message in regards to Disneyland. So I'm going to answer a few of the questions, but like the most magical moment that I've had, I haven't had anything specific. A magical moment to me is anytime I have gone, as cheesy as that sounds, it's basically just walking down Main Street and being in the atmosphere of Disneyland with the people that I love and crying. Because that's what I do, and it's fine. Sometimes I skip down Main Street, sometimes I dance down Main Street. To me, that's magical.
I had to group those together because, and I won't lie, I'm going to get sappy here, but those two just reminded me of
Don't do it, Josh.
my first time at Disneyland with my wife. Not how I met. I mean, I've talked about that magical moment many times, but we honeymooned at Disneyland as well. And I just remember one of the things, especially Marianne, could not wait to do was just to walk hand in hand down Main Street as husband and wife for the first time. And again, like, there's chills. I'm not crying. But that honestly, top 3 magic moment for me, because there's so much magic, especially when you're sharing that with somebody that you love. And Main Street just, again, kind of goes back to a little bit of what Johnny English was saying. It's the sights, it's the sounds, it's, you know, what's coming at the end of the street. So
I hear you. Like, for me, it was, more familial. Like, my oldest is almost 14, so she should be embarrassed of me.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'd reach out my hand, and she'd hold my hand, and we walked together through most of the park. Just kind of so we don't get separated, but also because we're just besties.
Yeah.
And she was willing to hold my hand, even though there are probably kids her age that may have judged her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, wow, this is a special moment that we can have this before she grows up too much older and I'm a little bit more lame, and we could just and she'll never remember holding my hand in the park. I'll never forget it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, as a dad, you got to take every moment you can get.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, those really hit home for me.
Well, and to be honest, like, real quick, to jump onto Tina's message, I usually go through Main Street really quickly. Like, do I like to be the main character and walk down the center of the street? Yes, I do. But it's always to get somewhere else. But we finally did the fireworks show, and it was the 100th anniversary happening this year. And so they have the light show playing on the castle and on the buildings on Main Street, plus the fireworks. And it was like one of the few times where I purposely stayed on Main Street for a long period of time with my kids, and it was tear-worthy. It was such a cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get the magic there.
Gosh, even the music alone, like, I have a Disneyland playlist of just all the songs that you would hear on Main Street.
Yeah.
Because that instantly takes me back to Main Street. And it's so funny because I used to hate Main Street as a kid because it was boring. There were no rides.
Right.
And it was old fashioned and blah, blah, blah. But it's that prelude to just amazing magic ahead. So
totally,
I love it. I love it.
I can't say I have any Main Street memories. I mean, I've been to Disneyland once with my wife, and we had a baby then.
I mean, they sell pickles on Main Street.
They do sell pickles on Main Street, but I would say my Main Street was the Red Rose Cafe because it's quiet, and that's one of the few places we could get Hazel to take a nap.
Love it.
So that was one of the few moments like Stephanie and I had alone together, and it was just super fun to just sit there. She was enjoying the food immensely while we were there. I was not, because I had to spend money. But just to see her enjoying herself and being an awesome mother there, it hits different.
Mm-hmm.
It hits different in Disneyland.
Yes, it does. All right, let's take some more of these phone calls. This next one is from Brian Passy.
Hey guys, this is Brian Passy. Just calling about the Disneyland stuff. Anyways, most magical experience for me was probably going to Savvy's workshop and building the lightsaber. I mean, just the whole story behind it was awesome. You know, it's like living a childhood dream. I grew up, you know, through all the first Star Wars and stuff like that. So that was pretty awesome. And you don't necessarily have to buy one, you know, to go through it. You can go with someone. They can take up to 2 people, you know, as they build it and stuff. You just can't help them. So, you know, that's something kind of fun.
All right, most magical moment that happened while in Disneyland. This happened back in 2019. It was towards the end of the trip. We were getting ready for fireworks, and we're trying to find a spot in front of the castle for fireworks. And first little bit of magic was we managed to find a bench, like right in front of the castle that nobody had claimed yet. So, you know, we sit down on it, and we're sitting there. And we were there early enough that we were going to have to wait for about an hour or so. Which was fine, but it'd been a long day and I was kind of tired. And so I found myself, I kind of nodded off and fell asleep, for about 10 or 15 minutes, which was really nice because, then I felt sort of a lifelong dream because then when I woke up, it took me a second. You know how when you wake up and you're sort of still in between sleep and awake and you aren't quite sure exactly where you are. I woke up in Disneyland. You woke up and my eyes started to focus on like, oh, there's the castle all lit up. And I had to remind myself, I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm in Disneyland because I dream about that all the time about, oh, wouldn't it be great to fall asleep and wake up in Disneyland and, you know, not have to be in real life for a while? Well, I actually did fall asleep and wake up in Disneyland and it was a super magical moment.
So Savvy Sabers. Have I told you guys about when I built mine?
Not that I recall.
I think I've told Josh. I know I haven't told you, Kent. So when I went to build my Savvy Saber, we got the reservation. Rick got it for us well in advance. We built it on, I think, my second day in the park.
Okay.
And I used all of Brock Cordingly's tips. I paid for it with the gift card that you get in the Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. So I have a cool gift card that's all metal. So just pro tip out there, get the gift card at Doc Ondar's. We went through the whole ceremony and I couldn't get mine up. It just wouldn't perform.
There's a pill for that.
Spencer?
No, like...
What's going on?
Legit.
Everyone's like, Disneyland's a place for families. Spencer's like, you're going somewhere with this. I can tell. You're going somewhere. Right?
No, legit. You put it in, and they activate it.
Okay.
I'm trying to do this without any spoilers, okay? You put it in, and they activate it, and there's a part where they have everybody raise their lightsabers and whatnot. Right. I didn't have a lightsaber to raise because mine wasn't working.
Ooh.
Like, it would not turn on, it would not activate, it would not do anything. So you could see props to the cast members because calm and collected. You could see a little panic in their eyes as they came and grabbed mine and said, the force is just a little too strong with this one.
Okay, good save.
You know?
Sure.
So they have everybody raise their lightsabers, and I'm there raising my empty fists because mine doesn't work, and I don't have it. They ran back. I'm pretty sure they replaced the whole hilt and everything.
Sure.
So it's none of the parts that I put together, but it looks the same. The experience was a little extra magical because I couldn't perform. I couldn't get it up.
Hey, like a second time is always worth it. Sure.
I don't want to go back to my honeymoon.
But they made it work anyway. And, you know, that the fact that even when something goes wrong, like they make a fun memory of it. It's a little extra special this way. At least that's what my wife tells me.
Okay.
So, that's my Doc Ondar story. Or my Savvy Saber story.
That is a magical moment because I think all three of us have had that experience.
You couldn't get it up?
So I actually had my experience. It's kind of similar to Spencer's sans the saber not working, but I actually went with Brock Cordingly, and we did the ceremony together and got our lightsabers. And I have the little gift card, you know, the metal gift card and everything. I cried in the middle of the ceremony. It is surprisingly like a spiritual experience.
See, for me, it was I didn't cry,
of course,
but having paid that much money for a toy, I was like this better be worth it. And when I first constructed that thing and it feels that real,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you light it up, and mine went up immediately, probably too quickly. I
Too fast.
yeah, it's a premature lightsaber. It was an amazing experience because I was like, this is legit. And I walked by as I went to Batu just this week. I walked by Savi's and I went, oh, I want to go make a lightsaber, because I remember walking around at night playing with my lightsaber. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
It was so cool and immersive. So yeah.
And I think who you're with making your saber, it makes just as much of the experience as actual saber making.
Sure.
Because you are with one of your best friends, Josh, with Brock, and I was with my brothers when I made mine. So Kent, we need to get you back there.
No, in fact, I plan to make one again.
All three of us should do one at the same time.
Yeah.
Or even not. I was going to say, don't make it with us, Kent. Make one each time your daughters make one.
Oh, there's no way. They don't care at all. I tried.
They don't care. They don't care yet.
No, I don't know.
And,
we'll see.
Who knows? Maybe one day they'll get married and you can make one with your son-in-law.
Yeah. I've been waiting
Show
for
them
this
how to use their
moment.
saber.
Can we play PlayStation 7 together too? Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, you can show them how to use their saber and how it works.
Stop it.
So you want to marry my daughter? Vroom. Have you ever taken a nap at Disneyland?
No, and now I need to.
Yeah, so back in the day, I actually found a place. Now it's gone now because of Galaxy's Edge, but at the Big Thunder Ranch. Usually it was one of the most quiet places in the park. And they had this little cabin area. And I loved going back there because it was so quiet and you could just decompress, especially in the heat of the afternoon.
I mean,
But-
yeah, I would love to do that. Just to take a nap anywhere, really.
I mean, when we went, we found lots of good nap places. I mean, like I said, the Red Rose Tavern's generally pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of between worlds. Toontown was under construction when we went.
Mm-hmm.
So back Toontown, right before you go through Toontown, where the pavilion/amphitheater is. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, great.
That one was drop a pin, hear it, quiet.
Okay.
Perfect place for napping.
All right, let's do some more here.
Hey y'all, this is Rick, formerly of the Spirit of 38 podcast, which I used to do with Spencer. It's first time calling into the show. You guys do a great show, love it, it's awesome. Keep me rolling every time I listen to it. But yeah, I just wanted to call in. It's my first time, and answer some of these questions that you guys had. Let's see, what's the most magical moment I've ever had in Disneyland? I don't know if it's a magical moment, but it's definitely a magical week. It's the first time that I can remember at least going to Disneyland was when I went with my, girlfriend then. This was like back in 2010. Soon to be fiance. It was just awesome spending time with her and her brother, and sister, and just being at Disneyland that whole week with her, and just, knowing that we were going to get married. It was just awesome, great time.
Hey guys, this is Scott. A first time caller here. Love the show. I'm excited for the Disneyland episode you got coming up. Hopefully answer some of your questions will help some future guests or current guests enjoy Disneyland a little better. This is what me and my family have loved. So our most magical moment, I would say, is seeing Disneyland through your kids' eyes. That it doesn't matter how old your kids are, take them to Disneyland. We've taken kids that are nine months old for their first time, and they don't remember too much then, but they do remember some things of seeing a smile on their face, or when they're a little older, just to see in a parade, on a ride, they see a familiar character they know. It's a magical moment.
So I have a lot more I can contribute here than I could previously, because I didn't go when I was engaged, or I didn't go when I met my wife, Josh. But a few points of clarification. I like how Rick references Spirit of 38 before the fact that he references he's my brother-in-law.
Sure.
And to clarify, I was not the brother with him on that trip with my sister. That was our other brother, Taylor. I was in Argentina at the time. If you want more fun stories about that trip, you should ask Taylor and Rick about beaver.
I don't think I want to ask.
I do.
Drop that nugget there, and maybe Taylor will call in between now and next week with a pro tip about beaver.
Okay. Spencer, everything you said in this episode sounds wrong.
I know. Just mentioning pickle is not going to get us that explicit tag. Just you talking, opening your mouth.
But keep going.
I am not. The funny thing is, a lot of this stuff, I'm not trying to be explicit. It just sounds
I know.
that
That's
way.
what makes it worse.
I have my doubts about your lightsaber, but, whatever.
Behind me, you can see it.
I thought that was a wet noodle.
Take it easy. Behind you.
Okay, I was going to start talking about special things like seeing Disneyland through child's eyes, and here you two are trying to get us that little E in the corner.
Oh, we're so sorry for dragging it down, Spencer.
So I'll start first with one of my favorite memories, seeing Disneyland through a child's eyes with my youngest brother. And then even more recent and more important is we took Hazel for her first time in October. So the one with my little brother, he loved Mickey Mouse when he was 3 or 4, maybe 5 at the time when we went.
All right.
He is autistic and on the spectrum, severely autistic. But seeing him walk around the minute he got to the gates, yelling, "Mickey Mouse!
Aww.
Where are you, Mickey Mouse? Where are you?" That, if that doesn't melt your heart, I don't know what will. And then the even more precious one for me, Hazel also is at an age where the first words she said, I swore, were Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. She loves Mickey. And she was at just the right age when we went, about 1.5 years, that she could recognize Mickey and kind of recognize who he was. We were up taking that nap where I mentioned just before Toontown, and this is why I know that's where Mickey starts his trip, because she had just woken up from her nap when Mickey Mouse stepped out from the train and came down to start his meet and greets. So there was nobody else around, nobody in line, and she was able to just run right up to Mickey and Goofy and just beam.
So cute.
And you could see her, Stephanie picked her up before she got to Minnie, and you could see her just reaching out and struggling to get out Mom's hands so she can get to Mickey Mouse. So just seeing that magic, like even at such a young age, and being able to contribute to that, like I could ride Splash Mountain 1,000,000 times and still not feel as good as you do when you see your kid light up at the side of their favorite characters.
So yeah, we did Bippity Boppity Boutique when the girls were really young. They were like 6 and 2, and they get all cute. They dress like princesses. It's great. And not only do they get to see their favorite princesses, which was Rapunzel. Elsa was also really popular at that time. But you'd walk by strangers, and strangers would all of a sudden be like, "Oh my gosh, Rapunzel, you look so cute." And to a 6-year-old, they're just beaming because that's who they emulate. That's who they want to be. And for someone to mistake them for a princess, there's no greater compliment. I absolutely love the experience.
I'm looking forward to when she's a little bit older and can do stuff like that. We figured, 1.5 was a little too young.
It's a little too young, yeah.
But we're thinking about maybe doing a Disney cruise in the next year or two. Just because she's too young for the rides, but the character interactions are kind of where it's at for her age.
Marianne and I mean, we won't have, biological kids, but, being there when my nieces and my nephews are there for their first times. And
oh, yeah,
that's just as magical for us. And it's so fun to see. Like, we're actually really excited because we're planning a trip with our nephew who hasn't been to Disneyland yet. And we just know, he'll be just like that with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Just like Hazel.
Right.
Just in heaven.
Don't let it discount like that you don't have your own kids. Like the nieces and nephews are just as fun.
Oh no, they totally are.
Taylor spent a lot of time with us when we were at Disneyland. Yeah, he did a lot of single rider lines because, come on. Yeah, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
But riding Dumbo with him and him taking turns with the kitty carrier and just seeing Hazel, like him dancing with Hazel. Like those are some of the coolest memories that you'll ever have.
Yep. I agree. No, that that was fun. That's it.
How many more do we have?
That's it. So before before we turn,
Josh, that's not it. We have a lot of tips that we're saving for
so
later.
Yes, I was gonna say because next week we're gonna have a whole pretty much Disney hacks episode.
Also, I feel like this episode should probably inspire some Disney magic once again. It's Disneyland magic, it's family magic, all that stuff. If you have stories, feel free to call and share them. We can always share them in a future episode.
Yep. So, yeah, just because this episode is over, it doesn't mean that we don't want to hear more of your magic moments.
So once again, we do have a number that Josh will give you, but if you have Disney memories you want to share with us, please do. And also, in a week, we'll be sharing the tips and tricks, the hacks, if you will, about Disney, how to rule Disney in a way. So we've already got quite a few calls, but if you want to share more, please do. Josh, what's that number?
801-508-4989.
Perfect.
So, yep, 801-508-4989. Accidentally gave the wrong phone number.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
I'm going to blame it on on dyslexia. I don't even have it, but I'm going to blame it on it.
It's fine. All right. So, Josh, take us away.
All right. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this special Disneyland episode of The Other Show. We thank you for each and every time you come and listen to The Other Show. And we understand that there are tons of podcasts out there to choose from. So just the fact that you're here listening to us and choosing us means a lot. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, guys, we want to connect with you, whether that's through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can follow The Other Show on any of those social media platforms. And additionally, you can also join us on our Facebook group, The Other Show. It's a fun little community where we hope that you want to be a part of and participate in and talk about all the fun stuff that we're talking about here. Now, we may be seasoned podcasters, but this is still a fairly new podcast. So please do us a solid by hitting the subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, whether that's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and we're even on YouTube. Subscribing helps others find The Other Show much easier. Now, you can also leave us a review. We actually do read each one, even those irrelevant one-star reviews. Now, if leaving a written review isn't your thing, you can always call my voicemail at 801-508-4989 with that comment, question, complaint, or even suggestion. Again, that phone number is 801-508-4989. But when you're not here listening to us, remember, you can listen to me on my other show, The Party in the Back.
You can hear me on my other show, Baconsale.
And you can hear me on my other show,